I stood at the kitchen island of my brand new house, arranging appetizers on a cream-colored platter when my daughter-in-law Amanda clinked her champagne glass with a butter knife. The chatter in the living room died down. I looked up from the shrimp cocktail, my hands suddenly still. "Everyone, can I have your attention for just a moment?" Amanda's voice rang out bright and confident, the same voice she used when closing deals at her real estate office. She stood in the center of my living room, one hand holding her glass high, the other resting possessively on the back of my leather armchair, the one I'd saved 3 months to buy. I dried my hands on a dish towel, my stomach tightening in that familiar way it did whenever Amanda made announcements. My son Eric stood beside her, his shoulders slightly hunched, his eyes fixed on the champagne bubbles in his glass. "I just want to thank everyone for coming to celebrate this beautiful new home with us," Amanda continued, her smile wide and practiced. "It's been such a journey getting here, and we're so grateful to have all our loved ones around us as we start this new chapter." The guests murmured their appreciation. Mrs. White from next door nodded encouragingly. My cousin Janet raised her glass. I forced my lips into something resembling a smile, though my jaw felt tight. "Now, I know moving is stressful for everyone," Amanda said, her tone shifting into something more businesslike. "So I wanted to share how we've organized the living arrangements to make sure everyone is comfortable." My fingers gripped the edge of the counter. Living arrangements. A phrase that made my home sound like a dormitory. My mother Patricia will be taking the master bedroom on the main floor. It just makes sense, with her knee issues and the convenience of having everything on one level. Amanda gestured toward her mother, who stood by the fireplace looking smug, her arms crossed over her burgundy blazer. I felt the blood drain from my face. The master bedroom. My bedroom. The room with the bay window overlooking the garden I'd already planned in my mind, where I was going to put my mother's antique dresser and finally have space for a reading chair. And Helen. Amanda's eyes found mine across the open floor plan, her expression pleasant but firm, like a teacher assigning seats. "We thought the sleeping nook under the stairs would be perfect for you. It's cozy. It gets great natural light from that side window, and honestly, it stays cooler in the summer. You know how you're always saying you run hot." The room went completely silent. I heard someone's glass touch down on the coffee table. Mrs. White's mouth had fallen open slightly. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. The sleeping nook. The 3x6 space I'd planned to turn into a reading corner with built-in shelves. The alcove where my grandson would have kept his toys when he visited. She wanted me to sleep there, in my own house. "Of course," Amanda continued, and I watched her mother nod approvingly. "Since we're all sharing the space, we'll need to split expenses fairly. Helen, you'll contribute for rent, utilities, groceries, that sort of thing. I was thinking maybe $1,200 a month." "That seems reasonable for your portion." "My portion? Rent? In the house I owned." I looked at Eric. "My son. My boy who I'd raised alone after his father died, who I'd worked double shifts to put through college, who I'd believed would always stand beside me." He was staring at the floor, his face flushed red, his free hand shoved deep in his pocket. "After all," Amanda added, her voice taking on that sugary tone she used when she wanted to sound generous, "it's important that everyone contributes. That's what makes a household run smoothly. Fair is fair, right?" Patricia spoke up from her position by the fireplace, her voice cutting through the uncomfortable silence. "I think that's very mature of you, Amanda. When you get to a certain age, you have to be grateful for whatever space people can provide. Helen should be thankful she has family willing to take her in. Take me in. As if I were a stray cat. As if this weren't my house, bought with my retirement payout and my late husband's life insurance and 15 years of careful saving while I watched every penny." "Well," Patricia continued, smoothing down her blazer with a satisfied smile, "I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm excited to get settled in that lovely master suite. The bathroom is just gorgeous, Amanda. That soaking tub will be perfect for my back." Several guests shifted uncomfortably. My cousin Janet looked at me with wide, shocked eyes, but I couldn't meet her gaze. If I looked at her, if I saw the pity or the outrage on her face, I would break. And I couldn't break. Not here, not now, not in front of everyone. I turned back to the shrimp cocktail, my hands moving mechanically, arranging and rearranging the same pieces of food. My vision blurred slightly. I blinked hard. Amanda was already moving on, chatting with someone about the neighborhood, her moment of announcement complete. She'd said what she needed to say, established the rules of this new kingdom, and now she was back to playing the gracious hostess. In my house, with my food, using my dishes. I glanced at Eric again. He'd moved toward the window, putting distance between himself and his wife, his shoulders rigid with tension. But he still said nothing. He wouldn't even look at me. The party continued around me. People ate my food and drank my wine and complimented my beautiful new home while carefully avoiding eye contact with me. They knew. They all knew what had just happened. They'd watched Amanda claim my house like a conquering general and reduce me to a tenant in a closet under the stairs. Mrs. White approached the kitchen, her expression troubled. "Helen, dear, can I help you with anything?" "I'm fine, Joan. Thank you." My voice came out steady, controlled, years of practice keeping my emotions locked away, of being the calm one, the reasonable one, the one who didn't make waves. "That was quite an announcement," Joan said quietly, her eyes searching my face. "I had no idea you were planning to rent out rooms." "I wasn't," I said simply. Joan's lips pressed into a thin line. She patted my arm once, then moved back into the living room without another word. I watched Amanda laughing with Patricia, their heads bent close together, clearly pleased with themselves. I watched Eric pretend to examine the built-in bookcases I'd specifically requested, his whole body language screaming discomfort and cowardice, and I felt something shift inside my chest, something cold and clear and sharp. This wasn't the first time. This wasn't even the 10th time. 6 months ago, Amanda had suggested I loan her mother $5,000 for a medical procedure that somehow never happened. 4 months ago, she'd convinced Eric we should use my savings to help her brother with a down payment on a car. 2 months ago, she'd proposed I cash out some investments to fund a business venture for her cousin. Every time, it was for family. Every time, it was presented as the generous, loving thing to do. Every time, I was made to feel selfish if I hesitated. Every time, Eric stood silent, trapped between the mother who'd sacrificed everything for him and the wife who held his peace hostage. And every time, I'd given in. Because I didn't want to be the difficult mother-in-law, because I wanted my son to be happy, because I'd convinced myself that keeping the peace was more important than protecting myself. I looked around at the house I'd bought 6 weeks ago, the house I'd closed on alone because Eric had a work commitment and Amanda had a hair appointment. The house where only my name appeared on the deed because my loan officer had insisted, given that I was the only one with credit clean enough and income steady enough to qualify. The house Amanda had just carved up like a pie and served to her mother while charging me rent. I set down the platter. My hands were perfectly steady now. The fog of shock that had paralyzed me during Amanda's announcement had lifted, replaced by something crystalline and cold. I walked to the hallway, pulled my phone from my purse and stepped out onto the back patio. The evening air was cool against my flushed face. I could hear the party continuing inside, muffled voices and laughter filtering through the sliding glass door. I scrolled through my contacts and pressed call. "Harris Law Group, this is Daniel Harris speaking." "Mr. Harris, this is Helen Brooks. I need to schedule an appointment as soon as possible. Tomorrow, if you have availability." "Helen, of course. Is everything all right? We just finalized your closing last month." "Everything is fine with the house," I said, my voice calm and measured. "I need to discuss property rights and occupancy laws. Specifically, what happens when people make unauthorized claims to rooms in a single-owner property?" There was a brief pause. "I see. Yes, I can definitely help with that. How does 9 a.m. tomorrow sound?" "Perfect. Thank you, Daniel." I ended the call and stood there for a moment looking at my reflection in the dark glass of the patio door. 55 years old, retired after 30 years of steady, unremarkable work, widowed for 8 years. Ordinary in almost every way except one. I'd been careful, I'd been smart, I'd planned and saved and made sure that when the time came, I'd have something that was mine. And I'd be damned if I was going to let anyone take it from me. I walked back inside. Amanda was showing Patricia the kitchen, explaining features as if she'd selected them herself. As if she'd spent hours with the contractor going over tile options and cabinet finishes. Eric was finally talking to someone, a forced smile on his face as one of Amanda's colleagues asked about his work. I moved through the room, quietly collecting empty glasses and used napkins. Playing the role I'd been assigned, the helpful older woman, grateful to be included, careful not to cause trouble. Let them think I'd accepted it. Let them believe their little reorganization of my life had gone off without a hitch. Tomorrow would be soon enough to correct their assumptions. The party wound down around 10. Guests filtered out with thanks and compliments, carefully neutral expressions on their faces as they hugged me goodbye. Mrs. White squeezed my hand hard and whispered, "Call me if you need anything." When the last person left, Patricia headed straight for the master bedroom, dragging her suitcase behind her with an air of entitlement that made my jaw clench. "I'm exhausted," she announced. "Amanda, dear, can you bring me some water and my medication? They're in my purse." Amanda hurried to comply while Eric started gathering empty glasses. I loaded the dishwasher in silence, my movements efficient and practiced. "That went well, I think," Amanda said, returning from delivering her mother's water. She kicked off her heels and stretched, then looked at me with a bright smile. "You did great with the food, Helen. Everyone loved the shrimp." "Thank you," I said evenly. "I'll help you finish cleaning up, then we should probably figure out moving your things to the sleeping nook. I thought we could do it tomorrow morning. Get you all settled." "That won't be necessary." Amanda's smile faltered slightly. "Oh, well, whenever you're ready is fine. No rush. I just thought sooner would be easier, before Mum gets too settled in the master." I turned off the water and dried my hands, then faced her directly. "I said it won't be necessary." Eric stopped moving, a stack of plates in his hands, his eyes darting between us. "I don't understand," Amanda said, her voice taking on a slight edge. "We talked about this. We agreed—" "You talked," I interrupted, my voice quiet but clear. "You announced—" "I didn't agree to anything." Amanda's expression hardened. "Helen, let's not do this now. Everyone's tired. We can discuss it in the morning." "There's nothing to discuss." I folded the dish towel neatly and set it on the counter. "You're not moving into the master bedroom. Your mother is not staying here long term, and I will not be paying rent in my own house." The words hung in the air like a slap. Amanda's face flushed red. "Excuse me? This is a family home. We all live here. We all need to—" "This is my home," I said, each word deliberate and firm. "My name is on the deed. Mine alone. You live here because I allow it. Your mother is a guest, and guests don't claim the master bedroom and charge the homeowner rent." "Eric?" Amanda snapped, turning to him. "Are you going to let her talk to me like this?" Eric set down the plates, his face pale. "Mum, I think we should all just calm down and—" "I am calm," I said. "I'm also done being treated like a burden in my own home." Patricia appeared in the hallway, wrapped in her bathrobe, her face pinched with annoyance. "What's all this noise? I was trying to rest." "Your daughter seems to have misunderstood the living arrangements," I said, looking directly at her. "I'm clarifying them now." Patricia's eyes narrowed. "I don't know what's gotten into you, Helen, but this attitude is completely uncalled for." Amanda was being generous, trying to make sure everyone had a fair setup. "If you can't appreciate that—" "Generous," I repeated, the word bitter on my tongue. She tried to move me into a closet and charge me rent in a house I own. In what world is that generous? "You should be grateful," Patricia shot back, her voice rising. "At your age, living alone? It's ridiculous. You need family around you. We're doing you a favor." "A favor?" I looked at all three of them, Patricia with her indignant rage, Amanda with her calculating eyes already trying to find a new angle, Eric with his pathetic inability to choose a side. Is that what you call it when you move into someone's house and immediately start claiming their space and their money? This is absurd, Amanda said, her voice shaking slightly. She turned to Eric again. Tell her she's being unreasonable. Eric opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Mom, I think maybe we could find a compromise. No, I said flatly. No compromises. Not this time. This is about respect, Patricia interjected, drawing herself up to her full height. You're being disrespectful to your son and his wife after everything they've done for you. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The sound came out sharp and humorless. Everything they've done for me? Tell me, Patricia. What exactly have they done? Because from where I'm standing, I'm the one who paid for Eric's education. I'm the one who gave them their wedding money. I'm the one who loaned Amanda's brother car money we'll never see again. I'm the one who bought this house. So please, enlighten me. What have they done? Silence. Amanda's jaw worked soundlessly. Patricia's face had gone red. Eric looked like he wanted the floor to open and swallow him. That's what I thought, I said quietly. You've confused kindness for weakness. You've mistaken generosity for stupidity. You thought because I don't make a fuss, because I don't fight back, because I love my son enough to keep the peace, that meant you could take whatever you wanted. Mom, Eric finally found his voice. That's not fair. We're family. Family helps each other. You're right, I said, looking at him directly. Family does help each other. Family doesn't exploit each other. Family doesn't treat each other like ATMs or free housing. And family certainly doesn't stand by silently while their wife humiliates their mother in front of a room full of people. Eric flinched as if I'd struck him. I have an appointment tomorrow morning, I continued, my voice steady despite the emotions roiling in my chest. With my lawyer, we're going to review the property rights and discuss my options, but I can tell you right now what those options are. I looked at each of them in turn. Option 1. You apologize. You treat this house and me with respect. Patricia goes back to her own home where she belongs. You live here as my guests, grateful guests. And we move forward as a real family should. Amanda's mouth opened to protest, but I held up my hand. Option 2. I sell this house. I move somewhere smaller, somewhere that's just mine, and you figure out your own housing situation without my financial assistance. No more loans, no more help with down payments, no more funding business ventures for your relatives. You wanted independence and fair splits? You'll get exactly that. You can't be serious, Amanda breathed, her face pale now. You wouldn't actually sell the house. Try me, I said simply. I bought this house for myself, Amanda, for my retirement, my peace, my future. I invited you to live here because I love my son, and I wanted us to be close, but I will not be used. I will not be pushed into corners. And I will not pay rent in my own home to subsidize your mother's comfortable retirement. Patricia made a sound of outrage. How dare you? How dare I? My voice rose for the first time, surprising even myself. How dare I stand up for myself in my own house? How dare I refuse to be treated like a burden and a bank account? You tell me, Patricia. You come into my home, drink my wine, eat my food, and then support your daughter while she tries to take my bedroom and charge me rent, and you have the audacity to ask how I dare? The silence that followed was absolute. Eric's phone buzzed in his pocket, but he didn't move to check it. Amanda's eyes were wet with angry tears. Patricia looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. I think, I said quietly, you should all sleep on this. Tomorrow, after my meeting with Mr. Harris, we'll sit down and discuss how this is going to work, or we'll discuss listing the house. Either way, we'll have clarity. I walked toward the stairs, then paused and turned back. One more thing. Patricia, you're sleeping in the guest room. The master bedroom is mine. If you have a problem with that, there are several nice hotels within 10 minutes of here. I climbed the stairs without waiting for a response. my legs shaking slightly as adrenaline flooded my system. Behind me, I heard the eruption of voices, Amanda's sharp accusations, Patricia's indignant sputtering, Eric's weak attempts at mediation. In my bedroom, my actual bedroom with the bay window and the space for my mother's dresser, I closed the door and sat on the edge of the bed. My hands were trembling now, my heart raced. But underneath the fear and the anger and the sadness was something else. Relief. The meeting with Daniel Harris the next morning lasted 2 hours. He confirmed what I already knew. The house was mine, solely and completely. No one could charge me rent. No one could claim rooms without my permission. And yes, I could absolutely ask people to leave if they refused to respect my ownership. He also walked me through what selling would look like, if it came to that. The market was strong. I'd make a profit. I could buy something smaller, something just for me, and still have money left over. When I got home, they were waiting in the living room. All 3 of them, sitting in tense silence like children called to the principal's office. I set my purse down and remained standing. "Well?" Amanda asked, her voice tight. "Did your lawyer tell you what you wanted to hear?" "He told me the truth," I said. "This house is mine, legally, completely, undeniably mine. You have no claim to it. You pay no mortgage, you pay no property tax. You live here at my discretion." "So that's it?" Eric's voice was rough, like he'd been crying. "You're just going to throw us out?" "That depends," I said. "Are you ready to live here as my guests with gratitude and respect? Or do you want to continue treating me like a tenant and my house like your personal investment property?" Amanda stood up abruptly. "This is insane. Eric, we're your family, your wife. You can't let her do this." "Amanda," I said, and something in my voice made her stop. "For 8 years, I've watched you prioritize your birth family over this one. Every decision, every expense, every plan has been about what benefits your mother, your brother, your cousins. I've said nothing because I didn't want to interfere in my son's marriage, but understand this. I will not be sacrificed on the altar of your family's needs. Not anymore." Patricia stood up too, her face mottled with anger. "You're a selfish, bitter old woman. That's what you are." "Perhaps," I said calmly. "Or perhaps I'm just done being taken advantage of. Either way, you need to leave. Today. This house isn't big enough for both of us, and between the 2 of us, I'm the one on the deed." "Eric!" Patricia turned to him desperately. "Are you going to let her kick your own mother-in-law out?" Eric sat frozen, looking between his wife and his mother, probably calculating for the first time what life would actually look like without my financial support, without free housing, without the safety net I'd provided his entire adult life. "I think," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper, "Mom has every right to decide who lives in her house." Amanda's head snapped toward him, betrayal written across her face. "Are you serious right now?" "You wanted fair," I said before Eric could respond. "You wanted everyone to pay their share. So here's fair. You and Eric can stay. You'll pay 1/3 of the utilities and buy your own groceries. You'll treat this house with respect and treat me with respect. Or you'll leave and figure out your own housing. Those are the options." "And my mother?" Amanda asked, her voice dangerously quiet. "Your mother," I said, meeting her eyes steadily, "is welcome to visit for dinner. She is not moving in. Not now, not ever." Patricia grabbed her purse, her whole body vibrating with rage. "I wouldn't stay in this house another minute if you paid me. Come on, Amanda, we're leaving." "Mom, wait." Amanda started, but Patricia was already heading for the master bedroom where her suitcase still sat, mostly unpacked. I watched Amanda wrestle with the decision, watched her look at Eric, at the house, at the future I was offering versus the mother who was demanding she choose. "I need to take my mother home," Amanda said finally, her voice cold. "We'll talk about the rest later." "Take all the time you need," I said. "But understand, if you come back, it's on my terms, in my house, where I live with dignity and respect." They left 20 minutes later, Patricia's parting shot about ungrateful in-laws echoing through the empty house. Eric stood in the doorway watching them go, his face ashen. "Mom," he said, not turning around, "I'm sorry." "I know," I said, and I did. I knew he was sorry. Sorry it had come to this. Sorry he'd been caught in the middle. Sorry he'd been too weak to stand up sooner. "Do you really want us to leave?" "I want you to decide what kind of man you are," I said. "The kind who stands by while his wife treats his mother like a tenant in her own home? Or the kind who builds a real marriage based on respect and boundaries?" He turned to look at me, tears in his eyes. "I love her." "I know you do. But love doesn't mean letting someone disrespect the people who raised you. It doesn't mean sacrificing your mother's dignity for your wife's convenience." "What if she doesn't come back?" His voice cracked. "Then you'll know the truth about what she valued," I said gently. "And you'll move forward with that knowledge." "But Eric, I can't make this choice for you. I can only tell you what I'm willing to accept in my own home." He nodded slowly, wiped his eyes, and went upstairs to the guest room where he'd apparently been sleeping. That evening I sat in the bay window of my master bedroom, looking out at the garden space I was already planning. Mrs. White had brought over a casserole and a bottle of wine earlier, her expression knowing and supportive. My cousin Janet had called, offering both a place to stay and several creative suggestions for what Amanda could do with her rental arrangement proposal. 3 days later, Eric came downstairs with an overnight bag. "I'm going to stay with Amanda at her mother's place for a while," he said. "Figure things out." "All right," I said. "Mum, He struggled for words. "I don't know how to fix this." "You fix it by being honest," I said. "With her, with me, with yourself. You fix it by deciding what you value and having the courage to stand up for it." He nodded, kissed my cheek, and left. 2 weeks later, I got a text from Eric. "Can we come over to talk?" They arrived on a Sunday afternoon. Amanda looked thinner, tired. Eric looked like he hadn't been sleeping well. I made coffee and we sat in the living room, the air heavy with unspoken words. "I'm sorry," Amanda said finally, the words clearly difficult. "I was wrong. I treated you like—" She paused, swallowed hard. "Like you were in the way, instead of the reason we had a home at all." I waited. "My mother has strong opinions," Amanda continued, "and I've spent my whole life trying to keep her happy, trying to take care of her. I didn't see that I was doing it at your expense." "And now?" I asked. "Now she's upset with me because I won't leave Eric and move back in with her permanently. Now I'm realizing that maybe I've been fighting the wrong battles." Amanda looked at her hands. "I'd like to come back if you'll have us, on your terms. With respect." I looked at Eric. "And you?" "I should have said something at the party," he said. "I should have said something 100 times before that. I was so worried about keeping everyone happy that I forgot the person who mattered most was being hurt." His eyes met mine. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm here now. I'm listening now." I sipped my coffee, considering. "Your mother can visit," I said to Amanda. "Sunday dinners, holidays, normal family visits. But she cannot move in, and she cannot make decisions about my house." "Agreed," Amanda said quickly. "You'll pay utilities and groceries. The mortgage stays mine, and so does the decision-making about my property." "Yes." "And if I ever feel disrespected in my own home again," I said, my voice quiet but firm, "I will sell it without hesitation, and you'll be on your own. This is not a threat. It's a promise." Amanda nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I understand." "Then welcome home," I said. It wasn't perfect after that. Amanda and I had to learn to navigate around each other, to build a relationship based on mutual respect instead of assumed obligation. Patricia still made snide comments when she visited, but I'd learned to let them roll off my back. Eric worked on his spine, slowly learning to support me without tearing down his wife. But every night I slept in my master bedroom with the bay window overlooking the garden I'd finally planted. I paid my own mortgage with my own money and answered to no one. And when Amanda mentioned her brother needing help with a security deposit 6 months later, I smiled politely and said, "That's unfortunate. I'm sure he'll figure something out." Eric squeezed my hand under the table. Some battles you don't know you need to fight until you're already in them. Some lines you don't know you need to draw until someone crosses them. But once you remember who you are, once you remember that kindness without boundaries is just another word for being used, everything becomes clearer. I was 55 years old. I was kind. I was generous. I was loving. But I was nobody's doormat, not in my own home. Never again.